What is going on, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome to a brand new post-commentary duel video. We've got Mermails on the left, piloted by me and my brother, piloting the Burning Abyss deck on the right that you saw in the last duel video. We're gonna do the dice roll here, and he's gonna win the dice roll, getting choice, and he's opting to go first. Now we do side this game as well. I said in the last duel video that I would try to incorporate siding more in these matches, and we do end up siding in this match. And it is a grind game. Let me tell you guys, it is a grinder of a match. You see, 30 minutes, this is sped up 2 times speed, over 2 times speed. Otherwise, we'd be here for an hour. And it's also pretty late at night. This video is going up. I apologize for that. 2 reasons. This game took about twice as long as I thought it would to record, and I also had to make a bunch of new life point assets, and we'll see why as we get further on in the duel. But as you can see here, getting started with the Rhino Warrior summoning the Psychic Wielder, or the Psychic Weed Dealer, as some may call it, to go into the Cherubini, and then using Cherubini's effect, or not Cherubini's effect rather, but using the effect of Rhino Warrior to send Graph, and then send Scarm, or send, not Scarm, but send Seer. And I believe, I don't know, actually sending the Scarm off of the Cherubini, I believe, or using one or the other, because he does have a Scarm in his grave already. So resolving both effects here, the Dante and the Cherubini. Seer activating now to bring back that Graph. And as you can see, he got lucky there and milled the Edgem Sabers off of that Dante, which is great because if given the right resources, you could end on a pretty solid field given that extra level 3 extender in the graveyard. That's why I love playing cards like Sea Archiver and Edgem Sabers, because they're such great assets in the grave turn after turn after turn. They're not just one-time uses like your Seer and your Graph, where you can really only effectively resolve them turn 1. You know, the Seer and the Graph in most cases usually get burned on turn 1 because they're their most powerful effects, and something that we hopefully will get back to at least 2 or 3 in the future, because I feel like BA could definitely use it. I feel like Graph could easily come back to 2. That way it would give you like a decent game 3 or turn 3 card rather. So he's going to resolve end phase Scarm there and grab Tour Guide. I know he's at least got double Fog Blade or something like that. Could be Lost Winds as well. So I decided to get started with a simple Swap Frog play, special summoning that Swap Frog, discarding Pike to send Ronin Totem. I usually like to get started with swaps because, again, some inexperienced players, they will tend to bait or just waste negations on swaps because they're fearful of the incoming Totally Awesome. But I'm going to use the Sekka's Light. He does unfortunately have Ash Blossom, which is really, really unfortunate. That would have been a nice +2. So I go ahead and summon the swap here. Like, I was really unsure if I wanted to resolve both swap effects immediately, because sometimes they get interrupted like this. No matter what you do, they usually are smart enough sometimes to stop that second Toad, because you know, they know you need that second swap engrave for that Ronin target. But the Fog Blade gets burned on the swap. Prince goes through, send Dragoons for cost, and then the second Fog Blade is burned on the effect of Prince to add from deck to hand. So I get to add infantry here, and going to go ahead and use Sekka's Light now to put this Teus back. Because I could summon this Teus, but I'd rather actually keep the infantry in my hand here for going into Alacia and trying to draw into another card that I could use perhaps in the next turn. But yeah, playing through double Fog Blade and Ash Blossom is pretty rough for most decks, I would say, unless, you know, your stuff is just unaffected by maybe you're playing Magic Specters. All your stuff can't be targeted just inherently. So this Fog Blades should be gone after the Link Summon of Alacia happens. But I've got 2 things in hand. I got very lucky and made a good decision by trading in that Teus, because I ended up drawing into a very good watery hand trap. Some of you might know what that might be. But I also have that infantry in my hand too, because I knew I was going to have to go to the Alacia route and sort of play the stall here. Because Alacia is very good. Being able to search Teus is amazing, but especially when you can take full advantage of that discard, that's when it gets even better. So he's going to start with Dante, milling 3. Looks like Mathman, Scarm, and a Lost Wind. Scarm hitting the grave, that will resolve in the end phase. And now that Dante is out of materials, but it is at a whopping 2,500, which at this point could beat over my Dante. So he's going to summon Tour Guide here, and we know he had this at the end phase of his last turn because he resolved a Scarm then. Going to be resolving another Scarm here. But let the Life Point Parade begin. He summons Tour Guide, chaining the Null Nun and Blooming Dogwood, or the Ghost Sisters and Spooky Dogwood here in the TCG, to summon Alec. That'll cause me to gain 12, and then he'll summon Breaksword, which will give me another 2,000. So that'll boost me up. Or no, not going into Breaksword here. My bad. So I'm not sure actually what he go. I think he might go into... he might make another Dante here. I'm not entirely sure. But one thing I was anticipating was him to go right into Nightmare Unicorn, which if he would have just spun that Alacia right back, which would have hurt quite a bit. So he's going to summon the Boots here, the Silent Boots. That's going to put me up another 200, putting me up to 9,400. And yeah, when I was saying earlier about making more life point assets, it was because I only had my life points set to go up to 9,000. I had to make him up to 14,000 because of this game. So he summons Borreload, which is actually a pretty smart decision, especially since he's under the effect of Null Nun. Going for Borrelsword here will be completely useless, so going for a card that he knows I'm going to have a hard time dealing with unless I draw a Kaiju is a pretty smart decision. It will give me 3,000, putting me up to 12,400. But I'm luckily enough, able to resolve the Alacia, ditching the infantry, clearing the Bardiche, preventing me from taking less damage, and he will swing in with 16, dropping me back down to 10,800. Now, Alacia says if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's battle or card effect, you get to send a water to special summon a water from your grave. And the way I'm looking at it, and the way I would assume, since it's no longer in the owner's possession, if I destroy the card, it will not trigger for me, which is really, really unfortunate. I really wish they didn't word it like that. I wish it was just worded like if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, the effect goes through. But unfortunately, they couldn't make the Mermail link that good, because that would have just been the end of the world, right? They could have just, took out a couple, words in that line of text. But it is what it is. I get lucky and draw the infantry for turn, summoning Teus, discarding infantry, chainlink 2, chainlink 1, Teus with 2 infantry 1, and deciding what to grab here off of the Teus. Now, a little bit of pressure is sort of taken off here in the fact that he hasn't made Borrelsword, so and he didn't want to anyways, because if he did, I'd just gain that 3,000, and I would probably lose 3,000, but my more importantly, my Alacia would resolve, which is something he doesn't want to do. So taking it and having me destroy it instead will definitely clear up some of that problem. Because the thing against Mermail is you do not want that Alacia to resolve, because it can generate so much advantage, especially if you have a card like Totally Awesome already established. It gets even better because you can add back waters and summon back negates for free. So I link the Teus and the Ronin here, using that last swap in my grave, going for Phoenix, discarding that Gund I added off that previous Teus to go for that set trap. It is Lost Wind. He does chain, but it ends up bringing back another Lost Wind from his grave, which is really unlucky. Right now, my Phoenix is at 850. 850, and I'm able to bring back Alacia with Gund, which is nice. He drops the already halved Phoenix down by another 500, bringing it to 350. Now, that should bring me to 9550, but forgive me, I didn't feel like adding the 9550 right there at the end, and that will be it for game one anyways. I just to scoop it up there because I think I was drawing a Teus for turn with no cards in hand, so I'm just going to scoop them up there. Really unfortunate, but we decided to go into game two here, and I do not side. I don't have a lot of going first sides for Mermail. My going first sides is really just the main plays that the deck makes: Alacia, Mool Glacia, VFD, things of that nature, and just hope in most cases that is going to be enough. And my opponent did side as well, anticipating the fact that I would go first, because I was going to side to go second. I was going to side Evenlies and Twins, but my luck with drawing side deck cards is even worse than my luck of just drawing good in general, so I decided to go with the trusty going first option. And I'm resolving the Mool Glacia here. I'm taking a bit of a risk, and luckily for me, it does pay off for the most part. I ditch a Boots to his grave, which I'm assuming would have been to his graveyard, next turn either way. and a Libic, which he is not activating. So, I mean, it could have been worse. I could have discarded a Scarm and a Graph. That would have been the absolute worst. So, he normals the Rhino Warrior, specials the Psychic Weed Dealer, and I go ahead and chain Null None after the monster summon, because I don't know if Wielder has to reveal itself in order to special summon itself like most BAs do. But either way, it puts him in this position. Like, he either stops there and I lose half, and it goes back to me, and I can put on tons of damage next turn, because I do have Teus and Dragoons in my hand at this point, because I'm opting to use on the summon of the Cherubini, or after, yeah, on the summon of the Cherubini, activate Alacia as Chainlink 2 in response to the Rhino Warrior, and then after the Alacia resolves, ending the Teus, the Rhino Warrior resolves, and then Infantry on a new Chainlink, getting rid of the Cherubini before he has the opportunity to use that Send effect. So I do have to make him invest a bit more here, and summon a few more monsters to be able to get back into the position that he was before, putting me already up to 12-5, summoning Dante, milling 3 and detaching a Seer on top of that, milling another Rhino Warrior, a Fog Blade of all things, and a Sea Archiver, which is pretty unfortunate to put that Sea Archiver in grave, because that means he has a recurring level 3 monster pretty much every turn he gets a Link on the field, or anytime I summon a monster to his own, a Link monster points to. That's just going to help him make rank 3s and Links later on in the game. And it's just, it's a really good card. That's why I play it at 2. And I feel like Sea Archiver is a really underrated card that a lot of people are just not playing. And I can see why, but like, it's just such a good card in this Burning Abyss strategy. Since Cherubini is so easy to get into, it allows for so many great plays. So he means to summon the Dante in attack position, which is, it's fine, it's whatever. This is not the NAWCQ finals, but he sears back the Cherubini, and since he's never used Cherubini's effect this turn because I destroyed it before he was able to, he's able to use it now, foolishing the Farfa, boosting up Dante by an additional, I believe Farfa's attack is 1,000. Yeah, so boosting that Dante up to 3,500 because Cherubini can target any BA, increase that monster's attack by the attack of the BA that was sent. So he's able to swing over my Megalo for 11, and he did Farfa my Mulan last turn, so he's safe from any damage this turn, which is unfortunate. But I had that Teus Dragoons like I was talking about earlier, because I was able to set that up through Alacia and add that Teus to my hand. Now, if that Teus will resolve, that's a different story. Now, if he did not Fog Blade this Teus, I would have been able to make a Dweller and another Alacia. Now, granted, I summoned the Teus in a pretty bad position because, in hindsight, I should have not have summoned it there. I should have put it in any other zone. So if the Fog Blade, which I didn't go through, I add Pike, and then my Dragoons adds Prince. I normal the Pike, discard the Prince, add Null None again for next turn, and then revive the Dragoons with the, revive the Dragoons with the Prince. Follow up with a Dweller that's gaining 1,000 attack because of Alacia and its own effect, putting it up to 27, and then I'm able to control the game. But it's just that Fog Blade is so rough to deal with. Like I said, though, like if there's no Fog Blade there, if there's a way I could bait out that Fog Blade and I get that Pike to my hand, I make Dweller here at 2,700, and the game is pretty much sealed. I shut off his entire graveyard next turn. He's for the most part not able to clear my Mulan because his Farfas are going to be dead because of Dweller. But it's just that Fog Blade. I just did not have the resources in hand at the time to be able to clear anything and bait out that Fog Blade. So I had to pass it back to him. Of course, I have no battle phase because the Farfa removed that Mulan in the previous turn. So I have to pass it back to him, starting with Dante, milling 3. Looks like putting another Boots in the graveyard. And I think he already has a Fog Blade in grave as well, so I think there might only be one Fog Blade, if any, left in his entire deck at this point. Now opting to use the effect of Cherubini, Ebon Angel of the Burning Abyss, to foolish a level 3 monster from the deck to target a BA monster on the field and increase its attack by the attack of the sent monster, this time choosing Scarm, Malbranch of the Burning Abyss, to boost up that Dante by 800, now putting it up to a whopping 3,300. Which, in this case, is enough to crash with the Mulan Glacia, because Mulan Glacia is at 28, but receiving that additional attack boost from Alacia, so putting up to 33. Same thing with Teus. Teus at 2,900 defense points right now, but has the Mathematician for a normal summon here, which is insane. This is going to get him any level 3 extender to his graveyard for free right now. And I believe he ends up going for a copy of Edgem Sabers, the best pair of scissors in the entire game. Hell, maybe even the entire world. That is one good, trusty pair of scissors right there, if you ask me. Now, at this point, he has a few options. As is, he does have a Link 4 play on board. And my field is sort of weird. Clearing the Moulin Glacia, definitely a priority here for him, although the Alacia, on the other hand, is a bit of a threat. I do have no Dragoons left in deck, though, taking note. Looking at my graveyard, 3 copies of Dragoons already being spent, and I think maybe 1 or 2 copies of Infantry also spent, so there's not a whole lot of great targets I can get to my graveyard besides Fishborg Launcher, maybe a Swap Frog or a Ronin Totem, or something along the lines of that. But he's going to opt to go into the Link 4 and go into Borreload Dragon again, just like in Game 1 we saw. The Borreload Dragon coming in so clutch here, taking Moulin Glacia this time, and going to clear the Alacia, I believe, with the Moulin, and dropping the Alacia down by 500 before it's able to go through the attack, and getting a little bit of that extra damage in there. So I will take 17 Moulin going over Alacia. Now here I was checking the text of Moulin Glacia to make sure that the fact that it changed positions over to my opponent's field, if I would still lose my next battle phase. And the way Moulin is worded says if this card leaves the field, which technically it didn't leave the field. It doesn't specify which player's field, so I don't think I would lose my next battle phase. But he has the Null None for the Alacia. Alacia sending for cost, of course, to be able to reborn from grave. And I still get to send Prince, which will still revive Dragoons, but I do not get to bring that Vital Megalo back for next turn, which is really, really unfortunate, stopping that graveyard effects. I believe one of the cards he ended up side decking as well. I think Ghost Bell is the, or yeah, did I say Ghost Bell? Did I say Null None? I meant Ghost Bell. He has the clutch Ghost Bell for the effect of the Alacia. And using Fogblade here to bring back Boots, the zone that the Borreload points to. I will chain. I know it looks a bit late because I wasn't quite paying attention. This is a very grindy game, keep in mind. A bit foggy brained, I guess, as well. I'm just making excuses at this point. But on the chain, chaining to the activation of Fogblade to target Boots, I will chain Null None again. He does bring back 2 very small monsters, and that's the one thing about BA and Null None, is that a lot of the monsters you summon out sometimes mid-combo are very low attack. Dante and Cherubini, to name a few. Same thing with Boots there, and the effect of the Sea Archiver. Now going into the Unicorn, clearing the what is it? The Teus, so that will go back into the deck, so he's able to no longer have to worry about the monster that can't be attacked. Or attack, which kind of can be a pain. And Moulin is going to go into effect here now, which is unfortunate. And he did discard a Seer, I believe, off of the Unicorn, which will bring back a Dante. And now I follow up here with a Prince, which normally would be very good, but targets are low. Luckily, I still have 2 copies of Infantry left in deck when I only thought I originally had 1. But luckily, the Prince and the Gamma Seal, which I believe I drew for turn, is going to clear that Borreload, which is huge. I'm not able to do too much, but I'm able to get into Alacia with still having an Infantry in hand. And having 13,900 life points is also a pretty good spot to be in. Because for the most part, even if he were to go Boral Sword Dante, I'm not dead. I'm still living. My Alacia is going to resolve to load my graveyard to potentially bring something else back to block damage. So I am pretty much like 99.999% sure that I am not getting OTK'd this turn. I'm not losing the game this turn, and it's sort of on autopilot. It's sort of up to my opponent to understand, or not really understand, but to make a poor decision. Will he overextend? Will he not do too much? Will he, use too many resources? Will he try to commit entirely? and try to put damage on. Now, this is a bit of a mistake that was made here. He does go to summon the Beatrice, which should go to the extra monster zone here. He does discard Farfa, which will still, regardless, allow him to get a direct attack. And I do Farfa, or not Farfa, I do Infantry, rather, the Gamma Seal off of the Alacia that I chained. Farfa will still resolve on the effect that was discarded to summon the Beatrice. I know it should be in the main monster zone. This is pretty much, I would call it, accepted game state at this point. Neither of us caught it. Which is a really grindy game. This match was like an hour and 15 minutes, keep in mind. You know, full recorded, unedited video, about an hour and 15 minutes. So he does summon the Dante, which technically shouldn't be able to be there, but again, I'm just going to throw it up to accepted game state at this point. I do apologize for this mistake, but again, we are all human at the end of the day, and we all make our own mistakes. We don't have like a judge watching this game to, you know, correct, you know, things like that happen. It's whatever. It doesn't make too big of a difference at the end of the day, mainly because I have 13,900 life points, but it is what it is. So Skarm getting to resolve here because of the tour guide that he was able to follow up with, and which is a really good card, and he had tour guide. Like, it's just a lot of good cards for him right here, and getting a search in the end phase of, I believe, Alec and Farfa. Resolving here, not really resolving, but, you know, sort of bringing back my Alacia here during the end phase. I did take 5,000 damage, which, you know, arguably is 2,500 more damage than I should have taken, but ultimately not making a too big difference at this given point. So I have the Alacia back on field, and I'm trying to think, can I get into a rank 4 myself? Because one thing Alacia definitely helps do is get into Boral Sword a lot easier, really just any you know, Link 4 in the game. That's one thing I think Alacia has really changed, is our ability, you know, especially Gun, to bringing back a card like Alacia for Link plays is just really, really strong. Not to mention the grind game that it's also given the deck. As you can see, we're so many turns in here in game 2, and I still have 8,900 life points. I'm still making plays because of Alacia, because of Null Nun. And like I said earlier, this game could have gone a very, very different direction had my Teus gone through and a Pike play gone through as well. As you can see, Pike being summoned now because I did opt to search it last turn off of the Alacia rather than a Teus here. And I end up searching, I believe, a copy of Gund, and then going into the Unicorn here. And he's going to contemplate whether he wants to use the Beatrice, but there's no Farfas left in deck. Already has the Alec in hand, which I think he added by mistake. It is what it is, though. The Beatrice is in the graveyard right now, but it will be put back to the extra deck. I remind him that it's supposed to go to the extra deck since it was spun. So that will go back to the extra deck in a moment. Sort of undoing the mistake earlier, since he technically shouldn't have had the Beatrice on the field in the first place. A bit of a cut there as well. As you can see, the Beatrice back in the extra deck now. Resolving his Dante here and just, you know, milling 3 hand traps, unfortunately. And running over Megalo for 100 and passing turn. I draw. I have to pass because I think I draw into a Teus, which is not usable in this current situation. And, of course, Nightmare Unicorn not being able to beat over this Dante. 300, or 400, I should say, short of being able to beat it over. That 2,500 defense still haunts me to this day, all the way back early 2015 or late 2014 even. Dealing with that 2,500 defense sometimes is a bit of a pain, and if you do clear it, they get a card back as well. So Burning Abyss has the very, very grindy strategy, but you can see Mermail's in most cases keeping up right now. His graveyard, a bit more useful than mine. There's one thing I was contemplating as I was sort of putting this video together. Had I been able to resolve or at least get on the board and establish a white or a whale, I would be in a very, very good spot, because it would have to force, you know, at this point, even after the Borreload's been made, after the Unicorn's been made, he has no real way to deal with a white or a whale. And it's a card that's going to keep coming back turn after turn at 2,800, inflicting piercing damage, attacking up to 2 monsters each battle phase. So very, very strong card. So now going into Beatrice in the right position here. Discarding Seer this time, bringing back a Dante, and swinging over the Unicorn for 300, and then attacking directly with a Dante for 1,000, taking a total of 13. Now, I top deck another gun here, which was a card I was really, really hoping I would draw, and got so lucky here in drawing it. So Teus discarding gun, adding a copy of Mander here, and adding, or special summoning off the gun, a copy of Megalo. Now, I have no other option here. I can't go into battle phase because I can't get over anything, so I have to go into a rank 7 known as Mermail Abyss Gaios. Could have made a copy of Red Eyes Flare Metal, but that's not going to do me too much good, so I have to attack into the Dante. Don't want to kill the Beatrice at this given point, to let him get a free add back, let him summon a purple Dante, etc., etc. That would be a very bad mistake. He was going to add back Dante, but he has no other copies of Dante in his grave currently. So the same copy of Dante cannot add back the same copy of Dante. It has to be another copy. So he will add back Farfa to his hand off of that Dante that I ran over with the Gaios. And now just sort of contemplating what to do. I can't do anything else this turn. I just have to leave my Gaios there. I have to, hope that I can stall a few more turns, maybe draw into a Sekka's Light and draw into like a Fishborg Launcher, a Teus or something, and just make more plays, get some synchros established, and try to go from there. And that's really all I can hope at this point. It's just playing the grind game, draw into Sekka's Light, draw into more cards, draw into more combo pieces. It's all I need to do because the game is very simplified at this point, I would say. See, they're fanning out the entire graveyard. His graveyard, very, very big. He has a lot less cards in his deck than mine as well. So, I mean, hell, even the possibility of a deck out is very possible here. Not likely, but it's definitely possible because he, like I said, his deck is much, much thinner than mine is. Since I am playing a 44 card build, I'm already 4 up on him as the game even starts. So I pass it back to him, contemplating now what to do here. I'm at 7,500, so this possibly could mean that I am in range for a Boral Sword victory, which is kind of scary because he has not made Boral Sword yet. And the links I'm currently playing in my Burning Abyss build are consisting of Borlode, Boral Sword, Trisbania, Nightmare Unicorn, Bardich, Phoenix, and Double Cherubini. Now I'm considering cutting the Trisbania for an Underclock Taker, like a generic link too, because that does come up sometimes. Because your extra monster zone can get clogged with non-level 3s, and making nightmares don't help sometimes. So he does Farfa, and he normals the Farfa, I believe, and banishes not the Alacia, but the Gaios. Swings for 25 direct since it opened up. I chain the Gaios anyways, just to negate the Beatrice. Then he passes it back to me. I set the Mander, and I pass it back to him. Setting a card face down here. Now I'm at 5,000 life points, but I have a set monster, and he knows I added Mander previously, so it's either going to be Mander or something like a Gen X controller. It happens to be Mander, though, I set. And Mander has 2,000 defense, so that could prove to be a bit of a roadblock at some point. Now, passes it back to me. I draw Swap Frog for turn. And I have a Megalo in hand as well that I drew the previous turn that I was not able to summon because I only had 1 water in hand. Now summoning the Swap Frog again, sending another copy of Swap Frog. Now having Ronin and Swap Engrave with the Swap already on board, I'm able to go into a card known as Totally Awesome. And now establishing Toad this late in the game, 28 minutes into this video. It's crazy. So now I'm left with an option. I'm like, I could go into battle phase here, run over the Beatrice, and possibly negate if he doesn't chainlink block the Beatrice effect, stopping it from even coming out. But I sort of also anticipated the chainlink block at the same time. I'm like, because if I don't do this and I don't clear the Beatrice right now and force him to chainlink block, he's just gonna go battle phase next turn, and I lose my Toad and I get a card back anyways, and the negate's pretty much pointless. So I made this decision. I don't know if it was the best decision, but it was the decision that I decided to make. Standby phase comes around. He's got the Pilgrim on the board. Summoning a swap from deck. Not opting to use the effective swap here since all out of swaps. As you can see, a swap under the Toad, a swap banished, and a swap on the field. Not playing any dupe frogs in the main deck because having the one of Ronin engine requirement is enough for me. Now, I do have a negate, and I have another Aqua monster on board that is not Toad himself. So I don't have to worry about giving up the toad. Now, he has that Alec in hand that he added that he didn't even want to add knowingly before for the Beatrice, because he thought Beatrice discarded, but you discard to summon it, but added the Alec to hand anyways, and it's still coming in very clutch to help him out here, because it forces the negate on the toad, summoning all of those monsters from his hand at once, normaling the cloak, specialing the boots, special summoning the tracker, and then not using the Edgem Sabers here, but rather banishing a Fog Blade for boots to trigger that pesky Sea Archiver, which is going to allow him to go into a rank 3 here. And that is Breaksword. Breaksword pretty much going uncontested here. To be able to pop that Gaios. And then using the Breaksword effect here. Having 2 cloaks, or boots engraved. Also having a cloak as well. And might also have a Ragged Glove in there as well. So plenty of targets. Going into Time Thief Redoer. 2,400 attack points here. Cutting me down, taking 3,000 direct, hitting for 24. That's 54. That's game right there. And even if I would have had the extra life points that I wasn't supposed to take earlier in the game, I'm still dead either way. But that is a massive grind game. This video is going up very late. I do apologize for that. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. And if you did, be sure to leave a like. My voice hurts because it was 30 minutes commentary. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like. Join Discord as well. And check out Imperium Duelist as well. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, guys, Winter Kill signing out. We'll see you in the next one.